can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted as always to be joined by Elliot Grigg, which of course means it's preview time. This time, huge fight happening in the welterweight division in Glasgow on Saturday, May 24th, as Josh Taylor makes his welterweight debut against Ekow Essuman. Big domestic clash. First time we're seeing Taylor at 147 pounds. Probably a long time overdue. I think a lot of people will be saying as well. An intriguing one. Josh Taylor, obviously an accomplished fighter, a former undisputed champion as well. So always good to see him against, someone in Ekow Essuman who was on the domestic scene, dominated it for a while. So it's a good fight. It has intrigue, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we come on to some talking points, perhaps surrounding both men, particularly Josh Taylor, just give me your initial thoughts and an early prediction here, Elliot, and how you see this one playing out.
Bizarre. Thank you. First of all, thank you for that eloquent introduction, Paul. I think it's a bizarre fight for me, really, to be honest with you, because I know obviously there's different things. Like obviously you've got Taylor moving up in weight, like you say, overdue in many respects. But I mean, Ekow Essuman really shouldn't be in the same ring as like a decent Josh Taylor, decent version of Josh Taylor to me. Like we'll just outclass someone like Ekow Essuman. So it's a weird one that he's kind of. It seems to be sort of pitched below where Josh Taylor obviously wants to be, where you'd expect Josh Taylor to be, given the sort of pedigree that he's had previously. But I know equally that Josh Taylor needs a win, doesn't he? You're sort of coming off the losses to sort of Catterall, well, the alleged split decision victory, and then the second rematch loss, the loss to sort of Lopez. You maybe just need to sort of get a W in that column and sort of feel out the weight a bit, maybe. So kind of a bit of a tune-up fight in that respect. But it's a kind of bizarre one. I kind of feel like, imagine if Ekow Essuman wins. Like, is that the end of Josh Taylor? It kind of is to me. I kind of can't conceive of a world where like Usman will beat Josh Taylor. So it's kind of a Taylor victory for me, hands down. And it's really a question of, can he stop Ekow Essuman? And I actually think he can. I did a brief breakdown with the two of the other lads at the outlet here, and they were predicting Taylor on points. But I am going to stick by my original prediction, which is I think that, in Scotland, roared on by the partisan crowd at the Hydro in Glasgow. I actually think Josh Taylor can give him a treat here, and I actually reckon he can stop Ekow Essuman because I think he's levels above Ekow Essuman. If he's got even kind of 80% of the Josh Taylor we've seen, should be enough to knock out Ekow Essuman in my respect. So I think Taylor, big victory, stoppage, somewhere second half of the fight.
Interesting, very, very interesting. I think we are big on Josh Taylor. I think, and a lot of people have said that a lot of the reasons as to why he maybe did lose to Catterall, Lopez, and Catterall twice, is because of the weight. He's such a skillful fighter, and it is long overdue. Let's be honest; it can't have been easy for him making the weight. I know he says he makes it or whatever, and professional and all that, but like he must have been dying to move up to welterweight at some stage. And now that time has come, and I think it'll bear fruit for him. I think it's a perfect move for him at this time in his career, Josh Taylor. And I agree with you. I think Ekow Essuman is a very accomplished fighter, really, really good domestic British level welterweight. Been there, done it, beaten some really good names. But I don't see him really going above that level. Whereas Josh Taylor, if he is the same Josh Taylor, or even as you said, 80%, 75% of the former Tardon Tornero, who at his best, he should be beating Ekow Essuman fairly comfortably in my eyes. I am actually agreeing with you, mate. I think that the stoppage could be coming here for Josh Taylor. I think he'll want to make a statement as well, kind of remind the British public who he is, and hey guys, listen, I'm a former undisputed champion. I'm not done yet, and then perhaps move on to bigger and better things at the back end of the year, or early in 2026 in the welterweight division. Which leads me on to my next question, Elliot. Win this, which you and I are both predicting he does, via stoppage, but win this regardless. Maybe go on to have another fight or even a world title fight straight away, given his pedigree as a former super lightweight champion, undisputed at that. Do you believe Josh Taylor, yes or no, becomes a two-weight world champion and wins a version of the title at welterweight?
It's a brutal question. That is a brutal question because, again, there's so many like externalities of Josh Taylor that I feel like it's hard to predict, isn't it? It's like you kind of look at the guy that fought Jack Catterall both times, and I know people say about styles make fights, but I was kind of stunned to kind of see what happened to Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall. I just thought like Taylor for me is a better fighter than Jack Carroll. If they fought again tomorrow, I'd still back Josh Taylor to win the fight. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those ones where I refuse to accept it. Kind of like Fury Usyk. If they fought again tomorrow, I'd still back Tyson Fury to beat Usyk. I'd be sitting there going, I can't understand how Usyk gets inside of him and hits him. So it's one of those ones where I see that guy that kind of fought there, and I think, I don't know, with the likes of the champions down that division, there's a kind of a chance, you've got the likes of like Norman, like Barrios, those sort of names. Do you think, could Josh Taylor beat those guys? Yeah, he could. I look at Boots Ennis, I think maybe not. Like if he doesn't turn up, at one point I'd have said yes, but with like you said, the Taylor that we've seen recently, maybe not. So I think he could win a world title. He'd need to kind of maybe get against some of those other guys rather than Boots. But I do think I just don't know what sort of version is going to turn up. Like people are sitting there going, like, is Josh Taylor washed? Is he finished? I think it's hard to kind of say that about him, given that the fight, like Catterall was arguably should have been a world champion, but was also potentially looking at lost to Barbosa, didn't he, last time out, in a high level sort of fight as well. Lopez is obviously looking at multiple world champion, is obviously a class fighter, so those losses aren't a criticism of him either. But there's just a sentiment he's kind of on the decline. So I'm going to say that he could, if he looks good here. I still think there's enough in Josh Taylor to say that he could win a world title at welterweight, yes. But I do think he'd have to get arguably one of the lesser champions in the division for me to predict him to win. But I do think he should do, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see enough of it in this Essuman fight to kind of go, right, he's kind of back and he's focused. Again, some of the lethargy we kind of saw, or the sort of gun-shy attitude we then saw sometimes against Carroll.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I think going out in the Shield as well, I agree. I think Josh Taylor has enough to win a world title at welterweight. Our opinions could change depending on how the May 24th goes. Even if he wins, but it doesn't look great, might alter our opinion on that. But yeah, for now, I'm saying Josh Taylor definitely has what it takes to become a two-weight world champion and win a belt at 147. Just before we round off, mate, gonna just throw a few names at you, and what I'd like to do, no beating around the bush, no explanations. Just tell me, how does Josh Taylor get on? So I'm going to throw a few names at you, and you tell me who wins, Taylor or the opponent I'm about to mention. So, we saw him in action at Times Square. Underwhelming performance, but up at welterweight now. Josh Taylor, Devin Haney.
Haney points.
He got beat on the Times Square card in New York, but perhaps I don't know what was wrong with him. If he comes back and gets a few wins, Ryan Garcia.
Oh mate, that'd be like, talk about externalities. That it depends on who turns up on fight week. I could have that as genuine 50-50. I really do. If Garcia turns up, the best Garcia beats this version of Josh Taylor for me. But if he doesn't, Josh Taylor could win it equally. So 50-50 fight, depends on who turns up on fight week.
Curveball at you here. We've seen that Manny Pacquiao looks like he's coming back. Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios winner. They look like they're fighting for the WBC belt. Barrios, Pacquiao winner against Josh Taylor. How do you see that one going?
You'd have to go Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, 59-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That really would be something. I think, yeah, I do Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor against both of those names.
And one final one I'm going to throw at you is certain Conor Benn.
Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor's got too much for Conor Benn. I really do. I think he might even stop him, but I think Taylor victory.
Yeah. I can't really disagree with many that you said there, to be honest. The only one I would maybe question would be if that version of Devin Haney keeps turning up, like he's going to get knocked out by somebody, in my opinion, and it could be Josh Taylor. So yeah, that's the way I see it going. I agree with all the rest, but yes, that's all we've got time for. Unfortunately, enjoyed that preview as always, Elliot. Guys, let us know in the comments your thoughts on what we've just discussed, surrounding this Josh Taylor Ekow Essuman fight, and all of the questions that we posed there as well, including whether Josh Taylor will become a two-weight world champion or not. Hit that subscribe button if you're not doing so already as well. Like this video, and we'll be back again next week for more previews. Elliot, thanks for joining me, mate. Speak to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.